Well, got my hose board, and now let's see, I need 3/4 inch mark back on there, and so I spoke shaped it off. And you can see, you might be able to tell these are a lot lighter. They've sat around a little while and darkened, and let's see here. Well, this one, maybe I didn't measure too close on that one. So before I go any further, I want to just measure, see that they're even side to side, and kind of difficult to measure this. A pair of dividers would be better, but I don't have a pair of dividers that big. 18 and 16 maybe? 18. So I'm just going to knock that up. Hold it. 18 and 16, that's wrong. God, watch me. Okay, let's take this one back down again. Let's take this one out. There we go. Now, let's see what we got. 18 and 16. So we got 18 and 16 on both sides. Okay. So let's see how I can do this that you can see it, and I can see it because I'll be able to see it too. So there's the center of the cone that I marked when we first shaped it. But that might not be the center of the chair because these posts might not be perfect. That's why I bore these first before I bore the center one. For those of you who've watched the cone back videos, you know that I bore the center and then I do it a different way. But that's because you don't have posts out here. So let's see what we got. So I have a perpendicular line on this spindle deck, and it's got to be dead on. Where's my pencil? Let's take a look. I'll look around here so you can see. Now put a little mark right like that. Let's take it away. That's pretty light. It's about a 1/16 that way. But you know what? The seat could be warped. So I'm going to take it from this side also, right like that. And then we'll mark it. And if you see that, you'll see that that one was even more over to that side. So we'll divide it between the two. And we'll show that the actual center of the chair to the cone is about 1/8 over to that side. And of course that's much more important than the original center of the cone. So I'm going to lay out these holes according to my new mark right there. So let's Let's see. This set of dividers. So I've got 7 spindles total, which is 3 spindles between the center and here. And I'm going to go to the everything's center to center except when it gets to the post, and I'll go to the inside of the post. And the reason why is the post has more mass than the spindles, so I want to give it just a little bit more room away from it. Let's see. Yeah, that'd be a good place to start. 1, 2, 3. Whew. It's way up. Okay. Almost. Okay, there we go. And I want to be able to see them from the front so I can get the angle. Now this one, oh, yeah, well, let's start all over again. You know what I did? I made a mistake there. I used my old center line. I used the old same line instead of the new line. So that's just going to be just a little bit different there. Need to pay a little more attention, and I wouldn't have to do things twice. There we go. That one's about the same spot. Not much difference, but might as well attempt to do it right. Okay, now, so this one should be just a little bit shorter. Yep. Okay. Now I'm going to drill the center hole because I don't need the angle on it. I know that it is straight. I'll drill the center hole, and then I'll put the cone back on with all the spindles in there, and the post and all the spindles in the seat, and the post and the center spindle in the holes, and then I can lay out these. So I'll drill this one next. So we're going to drill it plumb that way and plumb that way, or vertical that way and vertical that way, however you want to call it. So instead of setting up 2 squares, this one's the most important one that's square that way. Well, this one's pretty important too, but I figure that that one's good enough. I mean, you know, you really wouldn't want to use that for cabinet work or anything, but for chair making, it's close enough to square. And now I'll do it. Now I got the 5/16 inch bit because that's what all the spindles are, and so be sure to change your bit. I've done it. I've forgotten to before. And drill a 3/8 hole right here. So this is also a different number of turns, and I just went 20 turns, just guessing at it. I know it takes a little bit more than the other bit. And looks like I'm 1 or 2 shy, so. So there we go. So let's get this back over. And, well, let me get my spindles. I'll go to the kiln and get my spindles out of the kiln. Be right back. Now these are already numbered and laid out. Let's see, where did I write that number? I wrote it there, but I sure can't tell what that one is. That one says 6. Look, now it's got 2 written right on it there. So I know that one's 2. Oh, that's 4. 7. 3. What's that? 5. 5 and 1. Now I gotta get these right because those little grooves that I carved in them are all at different heights, so you get a little arc going across. And so let's just put that together and see. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so, but you know, one thing that I forgot to do just a minute ago before we put all those spindles in is measure for the length of the center spindle, because I can go ahead and put that guy in. Just about 1/16 shy, that'll work. Let's turn around this way where I can measure this thing. So we got a 1 inch there and 3/4 inch mortise there. So we don't want to forget to add those. So I got 16 and 16 3/4. I wonder what it shows on my plans that I drew. I mean, that's what we got. That's what we'll go with. I was just wondering how it matched up. 16 3/4. So that's 17 and 3/4 and 18 and quarter. No, 18 and a half. Excuse me. 18 and a half. So let's look at that again. 16 and 3/4 and 1 inch would be 17 and 3/4, and 3/4 of an inch would be 18 and a half. Okay. So I can take the center spindle, which is spindle number 4. And cut that off. At 18 and a half. Now, I'll take the comb back off. Okay, so you can see it doesn't fit. I have to do a little spoke shave work to get that to fit. So, I get my spoke shave and do that, and I'll see you in a minute. I'm going to put the spindles into their holes and let's see. And I'm going to orient them according to the crooks that the spindles have instead of grain orientation like I do on the post. So this spindle, I'll look down it and I'll see it kind of crooks back that way, and I'm going to send it back like that. And these sheet metal vice grips really have come in handy, taking a lot of pressure off my elbow. Okay, so ready to put the comb on here, and I've got all my marks on the front for where these spindles go, which is important for finding the angle. So let's see here. And I put a 3/4 inch mark on my center spindle to, so I can know when it's down. There we go. Now I'll show you what I was talking about with the back of the comb being in the same plane as the spindle. If you put a straight edge up there, you'll see they run parallel, and so it just, you know, the design wise just looks better to me like that. And then you also get the advantage of using the back as a reference point. Now in actuality, if you put this comb on the post and didn't have the spindles in, and measured the angle in which the spindles entered the comb, it would not be parallel with the back of this. There would be this slight angle coming back this way, right like this, and they would all be a tad bit different. Of course, they would have their counterpart on either side that would be the same. And you can do it that way, and that's one way of doing it. But then that means that you've got to, you don't have the advantage of drilling flat with the comb. But I also like the effects that doing it parallel with the back of the comb gives you. And that is that, so just imagine this spindle right here in actuality needs to be drilled a couple of degrees back this way. But if I line it up with the back of the comb, it bends the spindle. And so when you look at the chair from the side, all these spindles will flex, will have a very slight bow flexing back, and right up at the top they're straight, and they're straight with the comb. And so I like the way that looks, so this is the way that I do it. But like I said, if you were drawing this out, those angles wouldn't work. But if you put that bend in them, they do work. Okay, so just, you know, because the spindles are crooked, you know, because I whittle them and I follow along with first. So, and the holes might not be perfectly aligned with this. They're, as I say, I air in and up, so we get an out and back flex like that. So we get a slight little bend this way, and then as I was showing you, we get a little bend this way. So just don't worry about it. Just take that spindle and bend it over there to where you're sitting. Get my hand out of the way so you can see it. There's the line. Bring the spindle over to where the center of the spindle is on that line, and mark the center of the spindle there. And that is going to be the angle that you're going to drill the hole. So they're all marked, but now I want to know their length. So what I can do is pull them up against the comb and mark the spindle on the back side. Now the only tricky thing that I need to do is not cut them off at that line, but add 3/4 to it. And then it'd be the right length. So be sure don't make that mistake. You got our angle there. and got her position, and I know it's 22 turns with this 5/16 bit, and so the only thing I need is my square so I can get it right in that direction and go for it. Just looking over the side, make sure I'm not coming out right there. Okay, now I'll cut the spindles off and we'll have a dry run. Alright, so I got the spindles cut off. They're all fitted to the 5/16 mortises, so their tenons are fitted to 5/16, and got them in their holes, and so now I'm ready to put the comb on. I'll turn this around like that so I can see what I'm doing here, and this is where you need 3 or 4 hands usually. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. Well, yeah, I took it too far. When you get the glue on this, you really need to make sure you're hitting it all. So if you remember, I left that comb flat on the top just for this very thing of pounding on it. Okay, there we go. Their little 16th there. Okay, so if you look at it from the front, one of the things that I'll be looking for is just how do those spindles flow? Are there any crooks that jump out at me? Are they bending the right way? And I can move them down here to make them look better. And then the other thing I do is look at them from the side, and you can see that slight bend in all of them that I was looking for. Nothing too pronounced. So I'll look at them here and see. Okay, so maybe I can show you. This one right here has too much of a bend to it. That's the only one that jumped out at me. So we'll see if I can eliminate that. So you want to make sure it's turning down here and up here. There we go. There we go. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, well I think they all look great. So next time we'll glue it up.